Growing a snow-white head of cauliflower is both a real challenge and a pleasure in the garden. Cultivating cauliflower is more demanding than other brassicas as it requires fertile soil, which can be achieved with a compost mulch. It prefers the cooler temperatures of spring and autumn rather than the heat of the summer. A cauliflower head is more or less a solid mass of thickened flower stalks rather than an actual flower. Many mistakenly classify it as a flowering plant following the biodynamic distribution, but in fact, it is a leafy plant. Some varieties also come in purple color. Due to its green color and fractal patterns, Romanesco cauliflower is quite special and it can also withstand lower temperatures. Cauliflower is usually grown twice a year and sowing is not repeated. With spring sowing for seedling preparation begin in mid or late February. Sowing for autumn harvest is carried out in May or in early June at latest. Increasingly, gardeners are simply buying cauliflower seedlings. However, it's worth getting to know the entire process from sowing to seedling and then to harvest. The procedure is the same as with broccoli, except with cauliflower according to the biodynamic calendar. Everything is done on a leaf day. This simplifies our work in growing seedlings since the process takes place in parallel. It can also be sown as a third sowing for greenhouse cultivation, where seedlings are transplanted in August and crops are harvested in November and December. For this late harvest from a greenhouse, Romanesco cauliflower is best suited as it can withstand lower temperatures than ordinary cauliflower. To grow early cauliflower, choose varieties with a shorter growing season, which usually produce a smaller head. To have early cauliflower seedlings ready in April, sow the seeds about 45 days earlier. Since the outside conditions are not yet favorable in February and in early March, grow the seedlings indoors or in heated spaces with sufficient lighting. Begin by sowing several seeds in a large container filled with moist substrate. Covering them with 0.5 centimeters of dry substrate. Cauliflower seeds germinate at temperature between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius, which is also suitable for other plants germinating at the same time. Since they germinate well in the dark, cover the seed tray. This also helps maintaining uniform humidity, and as soon as you notice the first sprout, which could happen in as little as 2 days, uncover the container and move it to a brighter location. Within 7 to 10 days of sowing, once the first heart-shaped leaves are developed, prick out the individual plants into medium-sized planting units filled with a high-quality substrate mixture. Waiting for true cauliflower leaves to develop is not necessary because the roots also develop during this time, and pricking out the seedlings later could damage them. During this procedure, we also carry out a process of natural selection as we select well-developed plants. If our plants have already grown too tall, we plant them deeper, all the way down to the first leaves. Use a wooden or a plastic stick to help to remove the plants, being careful not to touch the roots. Place the plants in a location with sufficient light and with temperature range between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius. This is suitable for most plants that are grown from seedlings. Night temperatures can drop as low as 4 degrees Celsius. Any leftover plants from pricking out can be eaten as microgreens, as the plant is edible during this growing season. Water the seedlings regularly every other day, like all the others that are grown at the same time. And before transplanting them to an outdoor bed, Harden them off by placing them along a south-facing wall or in a greenhouse for at least 4 days in order for them to adjust to outdoor temperatures, especially to night temperature fluctuations. The first cauliflower seedlings are transplanted outdoors when they have formed 3 to 5 true leaves, or about 45 days after sowing. For the first sowings, this means that at the end of March or in mid-April. Seedlings are planted at a 50 centimeter spacing in a zigzag pattern to allow enough room for each plant to develop. Planting more densely will result in smaller crops. Be sure to cover such very early sowings with a garden fleece, preferably over tunnel hoops, because garden fleece must not exert any pressure on the seedlings. Plant the seedlings deeply down to the first leaves to prevent the plants from toppling over under its own weight. Seedlings can be planted also in a raised heap of soil, partially above the level of the garden bed. This helps with drainage, but mostly so that the plants do not topple over. Water the planting hole moderately, as the soil is usually sufficiently moist in the spring. In dry weather like today, water the entire surface of the garden bed. During the month of May, plants should still be protected with a garden fleece, which perfectly protects young plants from the cold wind, cold nights, and flying pests. After that, replace the fleece with an anti-insect netting, which should remain on the garden bed until the last crop is harvested. The biggest challenge in early cauliflower cultivation is the cabbage root fly, whose female lays her eggs on the ground near the stem. The eggs hatch into larvae, which get their food from the underground part of the brassica, so they eat the roots. The way it lays its eggs and where the larvae cause the damage, the best protection is to prevent the females from laying their eggs against the stem. For smaller numbers of seedlings, use a cardboard or foil collar with a hole in the middle. We can easily make them on our own. For large areas, growers use foil mulch for the entire surface of the bed, with a small hole throughout which individual plants grows. For the autumn crop, sow the seeds for growing seedlings in early May. These are varieties that have a longer growing period and can also tolerate hot summer days. Growing seedlings in May is much easier. Because of the higher temperatures, everything can be done outside, next to a garden shed or a greenhouse. As in February, the seeds are first sown in a larger container and later pricked out into medium-sized planting units. Since the plants are constantly outside, it's not necessary to harden them off as we did with early seedlings. During May and June, pay close attention to watering, as the sun can quickly dry out the substrate. During this time, the cabbage butterfly is already active, and therefore it's recommended to cover the seedlings with anti-insect netting or spray with Bacillus thuringiensis. The seedlings are then transplanted to the garden bed in June or early July, when they have formed between 3 to 5 true leaves, or approximately after 30 days. Seedlings grow faster during this time than in spring. Seedlings are planted with 50 centimeter spacing. The procedure is the same as in spring. We just need to pay more attention to watering since the temperatures are higher. Water the transplanted seedlings daily for the first week, especially in dry and sunny weather. Then gradually reduce watering to encourage the plant to develop deep roots. Water no more than once a week. From mid-May onwards, cauliflower benefits from summer mulch, grass clippings, and straw. If the seedlings were not planted deeply enough and later begin to sag, stabilize the stem by adding soil or compost around them. The sun rays can turn the white cauliflower yellow, so it's important not to remove its leaves. Instead, you can shade the head by tying the leaves above the flower stem with a piece of string. Protect all types of cauliflower with an anti-insect netting from mid-May to the end of October. If grown in a greenhouse, also cover the side ventilation openings with an anti-insect netting to prevent flying pests from entering. At the end of June, early cauliflower is replaced by winter leek from seedlings and carrots that we sow. Since the autumn harvest is larger and takes up more space, it's harder to combine multiple crops on a single garden bed. But before the autumn cauliflower, we can grow spinach, carrots, broad beans, peas, early potatoes, and lettuce. Young seedlings, their stems, are very attractive to pests like mole crickets, or they are attacked by ants, which feed on the sweet plant juice flowing through the plant. The leaves of young plants can be attacked by flea beetles, which can be recognized by small holes in the leaves. Later on, the most significant damage to cauliflower is caused by caterpillars of the cabbage butterfly, which feed on the leaves. The best prevention in spring is to cover the entire bed with a garden fleece and on hot days with an anti-insect netting. However, anti-insect netting can impact the aesthetics of your garden. If you don't have or want an insect netting, prepare a cardboard collar to deter the cabbage root fly for each seedling and place some colored butterfly decoys to repel the cabbage butterfly nearby. One butterfly decoy per 3 seedlings should be sufficient. For cabbage butterflies, there is also one option we are using successfully, Bacillus thuringiensis, called simply BT, is a naturally occurring bacteria that acts on the stomach of the caterpillar or the butterfly. It's a #1 biopesticide on the planet since its specific use on butterflies and caterpillars. If we encounter an attack of cabbage root flies this year and plan on growing brassicas on the same bed the following year, it's likely that the larvae will overwinter in the bed. Although these are not harmful, they will develop into adult flies in the spring, which will quickly find the plants and lay their eggs near the new plants. Cauliflower plants usually produce crops at stage intervals rather than all at once, which allows for gradual harvesting and immediate consumption. The first early cauliflowers are harvested in the second half of May, in June, and in July. Autumn cauliflowers are harvested before the autumn frost in September, October, and early November. Cauliflower should not be left outdoors during winter as it is damaged by temperatures below -3 degrees Celsius. Harvest white, firm, fully developed cauliflowers, and when harvesting for immediate consumption, use a sharp knife to cut between the flower stem and the leaves. The leaves are generally not consumed as they are thicker compared to broccoli leaves and not as tasty. Stems and older leaves left behind after harvesting can be composted. It's best to crush the stem using an electric branch shredder or a garden mower. Cauliflower is best consumed fresh as the stem may deform, bloom, and turn yellow over time. Harvested cauliflower can be stored for a few days in a cool place. For longer storage during the winter months, it's best to cut the cauliflower into small pieces and freeze it. We have also tried to cut the whole plant in October before frost and put it in damp and cool cellar. It remained fresh for 2 whole months, so we were able to eat it for Christmas. Well done on completing the cauliflower growing course. With all the knowledge you've gathered, you're well on your way to grow stunning cauliflower heads. Looking forward to seeing you in your next course, where we'll explore another fascinating vegetable, and let's keep becoming gardeners together.